The chamber erupted into chaos the moment Lysira's hand left Oren's chest. Counselors shouted, diplomats argued, guards surged inward to form a defensive ring. But Oren barely heard any of it. His heart was still pounding from the words she spoke, binding words, ancient words, words that now tied his life to the most dangerous woman in 3 sectors. Then the floor trembled. A low, rolling vibration passed beneath their feet, strong enough to make banners sway and dust sift down from the vaulted ceiling. Not an explosion, not quite. More like a distant impact, absorbed by layers of station architecture. Lysira's crest brightened instantly, every tendril flaring with warning. "That was not ceremonial ordnance," she said. "Everyone remain where you are." No one listened. They scattered like startled animals. Oren leaned toward her. "Is this normal?" "No," she answered, "which means something is very wrong." The lights dimmed, then shifted to deep amber, station-wide alert. Guards closed around Lysira, but she raised a hand and they froze. "Secure the hall's exits," she ordered. "No one leaves until we know what hit us." A human diplomat shoved forward. "High Empress, this is unacceptable. We must." Lysira didn't even look at him. "If you value your life, do not finish that sentence." He stopped immediately. She turned toward Oren. The noise around them faded, as though she'd carved out a quiet space just for the two of them. "Stay close to me. Your safety is the only variable that cannot shift." "That's comforting," Oren muttered, "and terrifying." Before she could respond, a KTH officer sprinted across the hall and bowed low. "High Empress, unidentified kinetic strike on the outer ring. No hull breach yet, but impact signatures suggest deliberate targeting." Oren blinked. "Impact, as in someone throwing rocks at us." "Kinetic warheads," the officer corrected. "Rocks would be preferable." Lysira's expression hardened. "Who launched it?" "We don't know. No transponder. No communication. No demands." "Then it is either a warning," she said, "or the first move." Oren swallowed. "I'm voting for warning." "I am not." She placed a steady hand on his arm. "We are leaving this hall now." The guards moved instantly, forming a wedge around them as they pushed through panicked bodies toward the side exit. The alarms continued their pulsing rhythm overhead, a constant reminder that they were walking straight into the unknown. Outside the ceremonial chamber, the corridor lights were already shifting toward red. Bulkheads sealed in the distance with heavy metallic claps. The smell of ozone hung faintly in the air, a sign the station's defense grid was powering up. Oren kept pace beside her, though his brain screamed at him to run in the opposite direction. "So just checking," he said tightly. "Does formalizing the right usually trigger incoming weapons fire?" "No," she answered calmly, "which means this is not about the right. It is about destabilizing me before the right can take effect." "So I didn't cause this?" "Indirectly," she said, "yes." "Fantastic." Another tremor ran through the station, this one sharper, closer. Lysira quickened her pace, her armor shifting with controlled precision. "The attackers know the timing of our ceremony. That is not coincidence." "Meaning someone inside leaked it." "Meaning someone wants chaos," she corrected. "And they intend to force my hand." They reached a secured transit lift. 2 guards scanned it, then nodded for them to enter. Lysira stepped inside first. Oren followed, exhaling shakily as the doors shut. The lift descended, but not smoothly. Small oscillations rippled through the frame as distant impacts struck the outer decks. Oren grabbed the railing. "Okay, just tell me honestly, are we under attack?" "Yes, I hate honesty." The lift slowed, then opened onto a fortified corridor lined with thick plating and defensive turrets dormant, but humming with power. Oren had only seen this area once, during station orientation, in the part of the briefing he assumed he'd never need. "Designation," a guard challenged automatically. "High Empress Lysira Velkana," she answered, "and Oren Vyre under the Rite of Aegis." The guard's eyes widened. "The rite has been formalized." "Yes," Lysira said, "and the timing was ill-received." Oren muttered, "Understatement of the year." They were escorted into a strategic command chamber, a smaller, more secure version of the main war room. Screens lit the walls with threat assessments. Pulses of orange and red marked impact zones. A human officer pointed to an incoming trajectory. "They're testing the shields, small strikes widely spaced. Whoever this is, they're gauging reaction speed." Lysira stepped forward. "Reaction speed is irrelevant. They will not breach." Then she looked at Oren. For a heartbeat, the Empress vanished. The woman remained. "Are you unhurt?" she asked. The next impact hit hard enough to rattle the command chamber's ceiling panels. Dust drifted down like falling ash. Several officers flinched, but Lysara didn't move. She stood centered, balanced, gaze fixed on the tactical display, as if daring the unknown attackers to try harder. Oren, meanwhile, grabbed the nearest stable surface, mostly because his legs had decided structural integrity was optional. "How close was that?" he asked. A human technician checked her console. "Outer ring, deck 32, non-penetrative strike. Shields absorbed most of it." "Most," Oren repeated. "Love that word, it's so reassuring." Lysara stepped closer to the holoprojection, her bioluminescent crest dimming to a focused, analytical glow. "They are not attempting to breach. Not yet. They are provoking us." "For what?" Oren asked. "To see whether we fracture under pressure," she said. "They expect panic, division, argument." "Have they met you?" Oren muttered. "I suspect they have not," she replied. Another officer approached, shoulders tense. "Hi, Empress. Intelligence suspects a coordinated interior threat as well. Sabotage teams may already be aboard." Oren winced. "Of course they are. Why wouldn't they be?" Lysara turned to him. "Stay between me and the inner wall. If interior attackers engage, they will strike from the outer approach where visibility is lower." "Noted," he said, moving quickly. "Also terrifying." She didn't deny it. The room quieted as one of the Karth analysts spoke. "We intercepted a partial transmission. Fragmented, scrambled, but identifiable." "Project it," Lysara ordered. The audio crackled through the speakers, distorted voices, overlapping tones, then a clear phrase emerging through static. "Remove the medic, destabilize the right, force her fall." The room fell into freezing silence. Oren felt his stomach lurch. "Okay, that's personal." "It was always personal," Lysara said quietly. "They do not fear the right. They fear what it symbolizes." "And what's that?" "That power can choose compassion," she answered. "That strength does not have to isolate." He stared at her, unsure whether to feel honored or horrified. Before he could answer, alarms triggered again, this time sharper, more urgent. "Interior breach warning." Red glyphs flashed across the panels. A security officer shouted, "Auxiliary hangar compromised." Unauthorized boarding signatures detected. Multiple life forms armed. Oren's breath caught. "Boarding, they're coming inside." "Yes," Lysara said, "which means we no longer deal with hypotheticals." She turned to her guards. "Lock down the medical wing, council chambers, diplomatic floors. Protect non-combatants. Evacuate no one unless I authorize." The guard saluted. "Yes, High Empress." Lysara faced Oren again. "We move." He blinked. "Move where?" "Into the safe room again, because I'd like that option." "No," she said. "They will anticipate that. They want you isolated. That cannot happen." "So what then?" "We stay mobile," she said. "Unpredictable, difficult to target." Oren resisted the urge to bury his face in his hands. "Wonderful. The thing I'm worst at, combat cardio." She didn't smile, but her gaze softened in a way that made the chamber feel warmer. "Stay close. I will handle whatever comes." A small part of him believed her without question. A larger part of him wondered how he ended up in a scenario where that belief was even remotely logical. The chamber doors hissed open. Guards formed a protective triangle around them as Lysara led the way into the corridor. The lights flickered overhead in rapid pulses. Warning of motion detected 2 decks above. The station's hum changed pitch. Oren recognized that sound from a battlefield triage tent long ago. Lockdown pressure, sector isolation, containment. "Something sealed," Oren said. "Several somethings," a guard replied. "The attackers are forcing bulkhead cycles to trap us." "Great," Oren whispered. "We're being herded." Lysara nodded once. "Correct. And you're calm about that because—" "Because they are mistaken," she said. "I am not prey." They reached a branching corridor, one path descending toward the engine conduits, another rising toward the communications grid. Lysara paused, assessing both directions in a heartbeat. "Upward," she decided. "They will expect us to flee downward toward evacuation routes." "Should I be flattered that our enemies are overthinking me?" Oren asked. "No," she answered. "You should be grateful they underestimate me." Halfway up the staircase, the lights snapped off. Pitch darkness swallowed the corridor. Oren froze. Lysara. A blade ignited, soft, glowing white from her gauntlet, enough to cast faint illumination across the steps. "I am here," she said. But Oren felt it before he heard it, the subtle shift in airflow. Someone was in the dark with them. The guards reacted first. "Contact," one shouted, 3 shadows detached from the ceiling, dropping with predatory speed. Lysara stepped in front of Oren, blade sweeping upward in a single flawless arc. The glow sliced through the dark. One attacker fell instantly, armor sparking. The second lunged at her flank. Oren's body moved before his brain caught up, grabbing a dropped stun baton and jabbing it forward. The attacker convulsed and hit the railing, collapsing. The third reached the guards, but a precision shot from the rear soldier dropped him where he stood. Silence returned, except for Oren's heart, which was loudly auditioning to escape his chest. He leaned against the railing. That was not fun. Lysara turned to him, checking him quickly for wounds. "You are uninjured." "Physically," he said. "Emotionally, I'll get back to you." "You acted with courage." "No," he corrected. "I acted with panic, courage adjacent at best." For a moment, just a moment, her lips curved, the closest he'd ever seen to a smile in the midst of danger. They climbed the last stretch of stairs and entered a narrow sector lit only by emergency strips. The communications tower loomed above. The docking vibration didn't fade. It deepened, slow, deliberate, heavy, not an attack, a landing. A ship large enough that the station had to adjust its artificial gravity to compensate. Oren felt the shift tug at his balance. Lysara felt it too. He saw her stance subtly change, weight redistributing, blade angled slightly downward as if expecting something to emerge from the floor itself. A guard pressed a hand to his earpiece. "High Empress incoming identification. Attempting to decrypt. Code signature is KTH military but fragmented, possibly forged." "Possibly," Lysara said, "or deliberately obscured." "Meaning?" Oren asked. "Meaning whoever is arriving wishes to be recognized, but not fully identified." "That's ominous." "Yes," she agreed. Ahead, the tower access door loomed, sealed, reinforced, one of the most secure structures aboard the station. 2 guards approached to begin the unlocking sequence. They never touched the panel. The door unlocked itself. A single sharp chime echoed through the narrow corridor, and the heavy slab slid open just enough to reveal a sliver of darkness inside. Every guard drew their weapon at the same moment. Oren stepped back, pulse spiking. "That's not normal," he whispered. "No," Lysara said, "it is not." The lights inside flickered once, revealing brief silhouettes, 3 figures standing still, unmoving. Like statues, the door slid wider as if inviting them. A trap, Oren thought, obviously a trap, a painfully clear trap, and yet Lysara stepped forward. "High Empress, wait," a guard whispered. "No," she lifted a hand. "If they wish to kill us swiftly, they would not hide behind theatrics." Oren grimaced. "That's not comforting." She entered the doorway, Oren right behind her, guards closing in around them. Inside, the communications tower was dark except for emergency red strips along the floor. The 3 silhouettes stood at the center platform, motionless. Then one stepped forward. Her armor was ceremonial, not combat, obsidian plates with a sunburst insignia across the chest. Her crest glowed in measured, disciplined pulses. Her presence radiated authority like heat. Oren recognized the insignia instantly, from the briefing documents he skimmed weeks ago and regretted not reading more carefully. "Lysara," he whispered, "is that?" "Yes," she said quietly, "Admiral Kithrian." One of the highest-ranking officers in the KTH military, one who had not attended the ceremony, one rumored to oppose the rite. The admiral inclined her head, not a bow, a measured acknowledgement. "High Empress." "Admiral," Lysara said, "explain your unauthorized docking." The admiral's voice held no tremor. "I am here because the council is compromised. Multiple houses have acted without sanction. I bring forces loyal to the throne." Oren blinked. "Wait, you're helping us." The admiral's gaze flicked to him, not disrespectful, but assessing. "I am helping my Empress," she corrected. "You are involved." "I get that a lot." Lysara did not relax her stance. "If you are loyal, why hide your identity?" "Because," the admiral said, "not all who serve with me share my loyalty. A masked signature keeps my enemies unaware of where I have placed my strength." Oren exhaled. "So you're here to reinforce the station." "Partially," the admiral's crest brightened, "and partially to deliver information." Lysara stepped closer. "Speak." Admiral Kithrian extended a data module. A guard scanned it. Genuine KTH encryption, high level, no traps. Lysara took it herself and slotted it into her arm console. A projection burst into the air, names, images, encrypted communications, financial transfers. A network. A conspiracy. Oren recognized several faces, sector governors, military officers, council members, people who had argued loudly against the rite, people who had been present during the ceremony, people who had left early, people who had shouted for dissolution. Lysara's jaw clenched. You uncovered this yourself. No, it was sent to me anonymously, the Admiral said, by someone with access to the Council archives. Oren frowned. Someone inside the conspiracy. Or someone who wants it destroyed, Kithrian said. Lysara studied the projection in silence, rage, and calculation flickering behind her eyes like twin flames. Then she spoke. These signatures, these orders, they prove open treason. Yes, Kithrian said. The coup is not speculation, it is a coordinated effort. Tonight is merely the opening act. Oren swallowed, so this gets worse. Unquestionably, the Admiral replied. A new vibration shook the tower, lighter, rhythmic, metallic, footsteps, many of them. A guard murmured, hostiles approaching from below. Admiral Kithrian stepped aside, revealing a secondary access door, small, narrow, deliberately unobvious. This path leads to the upper maintenance ring. They will not expect you to take it. Lysara nodded once. Oren goes first. He blinked. You're kidding. No, she said. You are the target. You move. Oren moved. The maintenance corridor was tight, dimly lit, filled with the low hum of energy conduits. Lysara stayed directly behind him. Her presence felt like a shield, steady, unbreakable. Behind them, Admiral Kithrian and the guards repositioned to stall the incoming attackers. Oren glanced back. Is she going to be okay? She is one of the strongest tacticians in our empire, Lysara said. If anyone can hold back a coup squad, it is Kithrian. That's reassuring. It should be. They climbed a vertical ladder, leading toward the upper ring. The metal vibrated beneath Oren's gloves, some distant impact reverberating through the station's structure. Halfway up, he asked, Where are we going? A vantage point, she said, high ground. If they want a war for the throne, they will have to fight for every deck. He paused just long enough to meet her eyes in the dim light. Lysara, does this end with you on the throne or off it? Her voice was quiet even. It ends with truth. And truth rarely aligns. The silhouettes at the far end of the maintenance ring emerged from the shadows one by one, slow, deliberate, coordinated. Not rushed. Not chaotic. These were not the earlier saboteurs. These moved with discipline. Lysara recognized it immediately. Strike operatives, she murmured. Elite, they were not sent to test us. They were sent to end this. Oren instinctively stepped back. Quick question, when elite operatives arrive, what is the recommended medical procedure? Survival, she said. The ring was long and narrow with structural beams crossing overhead like ribs. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to flank. Only a straight line between them and the dozen figures advancing in perfect formation. Lysara positioned herself in front of Oren, blade held low, her body relaxed in the way predators relax, coiled, focused, ready. The operatives stopped 10 meters away. Their leader stepped forward. His armor bore the crest of House Vyre, a noble family known for radical adherence to old doctrine, a house that had protested the rite louder than any other. When he spoke, his voice was amplified through his mask, cold and sure. High Empress, by decree of preserving imperial integrity, we are authorized to neutralize threats to KTH stability. Lysara tilted her head. You claim authority you do not possess. Our authority, the leader said, comes from tradition. Tradition does not override sovereignty. Tradition, he replied, protects the empire from rulers who compromise it. His gaze shifted to Oren, and Oren felt the intent behind it sharp as a blade. There he is, the leader said. The variable, the liability, the origin of fracture. Speak again, Lysara said softly, and I will remove your tongue with my bare hand. The operatives tightened their stance. 4 raised plasma baton weapons, 2 activated shield fields. The leader drew a thin steel blade, ceremonial, not technological, a symbolic insult. High Empress, he said, step aside. Or witness the consequences of your lapse. Oren felt the temperature drop around them. The air thinned, not physically but emotionally, as if the station itself braced for what she would say. Lysara took 1 step forward. 1. The operatives flickered with hesitation. Her voice came quiet but lethal. You will not touch him. He stands in the way of stability. He stands under my shield. Then your shield must break. Then, she said, you have already chosen death. The leader gave a signal. The operatives surged. Lysara moved. Her blade swept upward in a burst of white light that left streaks in Oren's vision. The first operative fell before his feet even left the ground. A second lunged from her flank, but she twisted, catching his wrist and slamming him into a support beam hard enough to crack armor. The third attacked low. She vaulted cleanly over him. Oren watched in a stunned haze, not with fear this time, but with awe. In the triage bay, she had been wounded and controlled. In the political chambers, she had been contained and measured. But here she was unrestrained, every motion precise, every strike decisive. This was the Steel Sovereign. This was why entire warfronts retreated at the sight of her crest. Another operative rushed Oren directly. He froze. Lysara did not. She crossed the distance in less than a heartbeat, blocking the incoming blade with her gauntlet and driving her elbow into the attacker's throat. The man collapsed instantly. She didn't look back at Oren. "Stay behind me," she said, voice sharp. "As if I have any other hobbies," he breathed. The remaining operatives regrouped. 3 shield bearers advanced at once, forming a triple barrier phalanx that cut off Lysara's mobility. A classic containment tactic meant to overwhelm through numbers. Oren recognized it from the field manuals he pretended to read. "That formation," he whispered, "doesn't it?" "Yes," she said tightly. "They intend to box me in." "What do you need?" She didn't hesitate. "Distraction." He swallowed, define distraction. Anything that shifts their attention for 1 second. 1 second. He had 1 second to disrupt a squad of elite assassins. Great, wonderful, terrible. His eyes darted around the maintenance ring. Conduits, panel access, venting lines, a whole network of emergency release locks just beneath the walkway, nothing lethal but very unpleasant if triggered. He lunged toward a maintenance console, ripped open the side panel, and slammed the manual override. A pressurized hiss burst through the ring as cold vapor exploded from the ceiling vents. Dense, disorienting, a sudden fog that blinded half the operatives. Lysara moved through it like light-slicing fog. She struck the phalanx leader first, cracking his shield generator with a clean downward cut. The second operative fell to a knee, stunned. The third didn't get a chance to react. Her blade pinned his arm to the wall. The leader staggered back, mask cracked. His voice distorted as he rasped, "You would destroy everything for a single human." "No," Lysara said, "for truth." He lunged, she sidestepped and drove her blade through his chest plate. His weapon clattered to the floor. Silence settled once more, thick and final. Oren leaned against the wall, exhaling shakily. "So, does this mean we won?" "No," she said, scanning the corridor. "This means the coup has escalated. They would not send elite operatives unless they believed success was imminent." "Fantastic." She approached him, checking him for wounds, hands steady, gaze sharper than before. "Are you injured?" "Only in spirit." "That is acceptable." She rested a hand on his shoulder, firm, grounding. "They came for you," she said. "They will come again, harder." He nodded. "And you?" "They want me dethroned," she said, "or dead." "Anything else?" "Yes," her grip tightened slightly. "They want to break what they believe weakens me." "And that's me." "No," she said, "what you represent." Which terrified him more. She released him and turned toward the far access hatch. "We head to Command Tier 4. If Kithrian survived, she will regroup there." The hatch opened onto a descending corridor lit only by emergency strips, thin red lines running along the floor like veins under skin. The air felt heavier here, closer, as if the station itself understood what was unfolding inside it. Lysara stepped through first, her posture shifting into a sharper, more contained readiness. Oren followed, the metallic hum beneath the walkway vibrating through his boots. "Command Tier 4 is 2 junctions ahead," she said. "If loyal forces regrouped, that is where they will anchor." "And if hostile forces got there first," Oren asked, "then we take it back." He exhaled. "Right, easy plan." They moved quickly but silently, with guards fanning out to cover their flanks. Every few meters, Lysara touched a panel, checking for tampering, listening to the faint feedback in the conduits. Oren had never seen anyone read a station like she did, like it was alive and whispering to her. Halfway down the corridor, a faint sound drifted toward them. Not footsteps, breathing. Someone was ahead, multiple someones, trying very hard to be quiet. The lead guard raised a fist, signaling a halt. Lysara lifted her free hand and closed her fingers slightly. The entire squad dimmed their weapons, reducing light signatures. Oren leaned close. "Are these enemies or allies?" "We will know," she whispered, "the instant they decide." A moment later, the shadows ahead resolved into shapes, 6 figures crouched behind an overturned console. Weapons drawn, armor dented, crests glowing faint, exhausted pulses. Then one stood, Admiral Kithrian. Her armor was scorched, cracked along one pauldron, and her lip was split along one edge, but her posture was still iron. "Hi, Empress," she said, relief flickering just beneath her stern tone. "You survived the strike squad." "What? And you survived the Council's loyalists," Lysara replied. "Good." Kithrian motioned to the others, 4 soldiers and 1 comms officer. "These are the last of my unit. The rest fell holding the tower." Oren felt a drop in his stomach. "I'm sorry." Kithrian's gaze swept over him briefly, unreadable. They knew what they stood for. Lysara's voice softened a fraction. "Your information was accurate. The conspirators acted earlier than anticipated." "And they were prepared," Kithrian said. "Multiple factions united under a single directive: remove you, remove him, control the succession pathway." "They will fail," Lysara said simply. Kithrian nodded once. "Then we move. But be warned, Command Tier 4 is not secure. The coup forces have already taken positions near the forward junction." "Numbers?" Lysara asked. 20 confirmed, possibly more." Oren blinked. 20, as in 20 soldiers. "Like actual soldiers, not saboteurs." "Yes," Kithrian said. "Oh, good," Oren murmured. "I was afraid this day might start relaxing." Lysara turned to him. "You will stay at my side." "I wasn't planning to wander off." "Good." She nodded to Kithrian. "Lead the way." The Admiral motioned, and they moved as a unified group, 2 squads merging into a single, dangerous line. The corridor narrowed ahead, funneling them into a choke point. Panels had been ripped open, wiring exposed, scorch marks staining the walls. Signs of fighting, recent fighting. Oren's throat tightened. This wasn't political anymore. This was a battlefield. Kithrian raised her fist again. "Contact." Junction ahead. Oren peered past her. Shapes moved behind a barricade, Karth soldiers wearing the insignia of House Varin and House Delsar, both houses that had protested the right. Both houses rumored to back the more aggressive factions. Weapons glowed, voices echoed. "Secure the Empress or kill her, no half measures." Oren shivered. Kithrian whispered, "They will focus fire on you. Stay behind the Empress at all costs." "Trust me," Oren whispered back. "That is the only thing I'm good at today." Then the barrage began. A wall of plasma fire ripped down the corridor, splashing against Lysara's projected shield field, one she activated with a flick of her wrist. The shimmering barrier bent under the hits but held, each impact lighting her crest like a heartbeat. Kithrian's soldiers returned controlled bursts. 2 attackers fell, but more took their place, surging into position with disciplined aggression. "This will not hold," Kithrian murmured. Lysara nodded once. "It does not need to." She turned slightly. "Oren." He stiffened. "Yes. When I drop the shield, you will move." "Move where?" "Behind that doorway," she said, pointing at a sealed maintenance hatch off to the right. "Kithrian will cover you." "What about you?" "I will clear the junction." He blinked, alone. "Yes," she said simply. "That's a terrible plan." "It is the only viable plan." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and in that moment something unspoken passed between them. Not fear, not doubt, recognition. The shield flickered. "Get ready," she said. "No pressure," he muttered. Then she lowered the shield. The corridor erupted into chaos again, plasma bolts firing from both sides as Oren dashed toward the hatch, crouching low, feeling the heat of each near impact against his arms and back. Kithrian was a blur beside him, deflecting incoming shots with frightening precision. "Move," she commanded. "I'm trying." Behind them, Lysara surged forward, not running, advancing. Her blade ignited with a fierce white glow as she entered the hail of fire, absorbing hits on her armor, forcing the soldiers back step by step. One tried to flank. She pivoted, struck his weapon aside, and sent him crashing into a wall. Another charged her with a shield. She shattered it. A third tried to retreat. She did not allow it. Kithrian slammed the hatch control and shoved Oren inside just as a concussive blast shook the junction. Metal groaned. Lights flickered. From behind the smoke, Lysara emerged, armored frame glowing, breathing steady, crest blazing like wildfire. The junction was silent. Every hostile lay unconscious or unmoving. Oren stepped out slowly. "Lysara, are you okay?" She wiped plasma residue from her gauntlet. Yes, Central Command should never have been silent. At full operation, it hummed with thousands of decisions running in parallel. Voices, consoles, tactical feeds, the heartbeat of an empire. But now, as Lysara, Oren, and Kithrian approached the towering entrance, silence pooled in the air like cold water. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Kithrian slowed. This quiet is intentional. Lysara nodded once. A trap. The command doors were open, not blasted, not forced. Simply open. An invitation or a dare, Oren swallowed. Do we go in? We do, Lysara said, because whoever waits inside believes they can finish this. And they're wrong, I'm guessing. Her gaze flicked toward him, steady and fierce. Completely. They stepped inside. The vast command chamber was dim, lit only by red emergency strips circling the hollow table. Tactical projections flickered unstable, as if someone had interrupted an active broadcast. Yet the systems were still online. Someone was controlling them. Then footsteps, slow, deliberate. A figure stepped forward from behind the hollow platform. Counselor Merax. Oren felt his stomach drop. Merax had been one of the loudest voices against the right. Loudest and now clearly most dangerous. Behind him stood 5 armed soldiers wearing the insignia of rebel houses. Hi, Empress, Merax said calmly. We were beginning to think you would hide. An Empress does not hide, Lysara replied. No, Merax said, but an Empress can fall. Kithrian's weapon rose. Stand down, Merax. This is treason of the highest order. Treason, Merax laughed. No, this is restoration. Our empire cannot be ruled by someone who binds herself to a human, a healer, a nobody. Oren winced. I'm standing right here. Merax's gaze shifted to him, cold, analytical, utterly sure of his righteousness. You are the symbol of her weakness, and symbols must be erased. Lysara stepped in front of Oren before he could speak. You will not touch him, she said. You can't protect him, Merax answered. Not from us. Not from the consequences of your sentimentality. Lysara's voice dropped into a register Oren had only heard once when she faced the strike operatives, a lethal whisper. You do not understand my strength. Merax snapped his fingers. The soldiers raised their weapons. Kithrian moved first. A single sharp command, her squad fanned out, intercepting the rebel line as plasma fire erupted across the chamber. Oren ducked behind a console. Heat washed over him as bolts slammed into the reinforced walls. Above the chaos, Lysara moved, a dark streak of precision and fury. Merax tried to retreat behind his guards, but Lysara was already there, blade flashing in a controlled arc that sent his nearest soldier crashing to the floor. He stumbled back. You would kill your own council member. You ceased to be council, Lysara said, the moment you raised your hand against my people. Merax lashed out with a concealed blade, small, quick, deadly. But Lysara caught his wrist mid-strike, twisting until the blade clattered to the floor. He screamed, dropping to one knee. It's over, she said. But Merax, cornered, desperate, fanatical, reached toward a control relay on his vambrace, a last frantic attempt to trigger something. A bomb, a broadcast, a purge command. Oren didn't think. He tackled Merax from the side, slamming him into the deck before the relay could activate. The impact knocked the device from the man's arm and sent it skidding across the floor. Merax snarled, trying to claw at him. You human, this empire is not for your kind. Oren held him down with shaking arms. Yeah, well, maybe it's time that changed. Lysara approached slowly, breathing steady despite the chaos around them. She looked down at Merax with a quiet finality that chilled Oren more than any shout ever could. You threatened my people, she said. You threatened my rule. You threatened him. Merax froze as her shadow fell over him. That, she whispered, was your last mistake. Kithrian stepped beside her. High Empress, command is secure. Rebel forces are surrendering across all decks. Good, Lysara said. Take Merax to holding. He will stand public trial. The Empire will hear every word of his betrayal from his own mouth. Kithrian saluted and dragged the defeated counselor away. Silence settled over the chamber. Then Lysara turned to Oren. He was still breathing hard, adrenaline still spiking, hands scraped from the floor. She knelt beside him, not as an empress, but as someone who had just nearly lost something she wasn't ready to name. Are you hurt? She asked. No, he said softly, just overwhelmed. Her hand touched his shoulder, grounding him. You acted with courage. I acted with panic, he said. Again. Courage, she replied, is simply choosing to act before fear finishes speaking. Their eyes held a moment longer than either intended. Kithrian cleared her throat from across the room. High Empress, there is one more matter. Lysara rose. Report. Kithrian hesitated. The Loyalists are with us, but the Empire is watching. Billions, they saw the attack. They know the right has been formalized. They are demanding a statement from you. Oren exhaled slowly. So, this is the part where you tell the entire galaxy what comes next. Lysara stepped onto the central platform. The hollow table flickered to life beneath her hand. With a few inputs, every major channel across the Empire linked in. She looked back at Oren just once, not for permission, for connection. Then she faced the galaxy and spoke. In the face of fear, we do not retreat. In the face of division, we do not fracture. Today, an attempt was made to silence compassion, to weaponize tradition, to destroy unity. It failed. The Empire stands, not by force alone, but by truth. Her voice echoed through the chamber, firm and unshakable. And the truth is this. The Rite of Aegis is formalized. Oren Vyre stands under my shield, and I stand with him. Oren felt the weight of the